our children close to the Quran and the Sahih Hadith. It is a duty that we give our children proper education. That is the reason I say that your children are your amana. See to it you give them proper education for both the worlds. And this was the dilemma that I faced maybe 8 years back. And though, alhamdulillah, I used to give talks on education, and I did take time to choose my life partner because I wanted the right life partner. And finally, Allah gave me, alhamdulillah. And when the children were born, my eldest son is 12 years old, and I always had that thing that we should have a proper school which has a striking balance between the Islamic education and the formal education. I don't call mathematics, science as secular education, because secular by definition means nothing to do with God. I believe science believes in God. Mathematics is Islamic subject. So therefore, when I talk about the other conventional subjects, I call them formal education. Mathematics, science, history, geography, English, we call it as formal subjects. So I always had that dream that to have a school which has the striking balance between the Islamic subjects, Islamic education, and the formal education. Because mathematics, science, history, according to me, are part of Islam. And that made me tour the world, and I did a survey, alhamdulillah, of most of the Islamic schools at that time. That was about 6 to 8 years back. In a span of 2-3 years, mashallah, I went to most of the best schools of the world. In America, in Canada, in UK, in South Africa, in Australia, in Malaysia, and I visited hundreds of schools. And when I observed that in the Western countries, most of the Islamic schools, almost all, they were more of a Muslim-managed school. Muslim-managed school means the management was Muslim, but I would not call them as Islamic schools. Because we realize that in the Western world, there is a fear of alcoholism, of drug addiction, about obscenity. So in these schools, we found that the dress code that the students wore, they were Islamic hijab, mashallah. They had a time for prayer, for salah, alhamdulillah. There was no alcohol, there was no drug, alhamdulillah. So that was what was called the Islamic school. Where back in India, most of the Muslim-managed schools, they have the Islamic dress code. You can offer salah. There's no alcohol, there's no drug. So I did not find something new. But alhamdulillah, considering the Western country, where drug addiction is common, alcoholism is common, obscenity is common, it is an achievement which I was happy. But what I came to search for, that when our children go to school, they should get the best of knowledge, I could not find any of the schools. What we wanted that we have now the Muslim Ummah, rather divided into two types of education. One type of education, when we have secular education, they acquire the so-called secular education, which are called as formal education. They acquire knowledge of mathematics, science, history, geography, but they are far away from the deen. On the other hand, when we go to our madrasas, we teach about Quran, Hadith, Sharia, Fiqh. Alhamdulillah, may Allah give them reward. But they are unaware of mathematics, science, history, geography. So we wanted a balance between the two.